Say it with me now. Views and opinions expressed on this channel are not and should not be considered as financial advice. I'm not a certified financial advisor and not registered with the FSCA.
Welcome back to Chat with Tessa, everyone, where we speak about money and life. And you who have been subscribers for a very long time already know what kind of content you'll find on my channel. If you are new to the channel, feel free to binge watch if you have some time, or you can have that binge watch day on another day and see what you can learn from this community that is the Chat with Tessa YouTube channel. All right, so the 5 things that you can do for free on this channel to support the channel and to get this content flowing on the YouTube world is: number 1, subscribing to the channel, and I really appreciate all your subscriptions, and it's free. Number 2, hitting that like button. It's not just to make me feel good, but it's also to definitely get that video suggested to more and more viewers out there. All right, when you comment, I get to know you because sometimes your name is on there and I kind of get a sense of how far you got in the video, what spoke to you, or any questions that you have. And I pay attention to all comments. I definitely respond to everybody's comment. Sharing the video with your friends and family, colleagues, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, you name it. And guys, the last one, number 5, please take time to not skip an ad, but watch one ad at least all the way to the end. And that definitely is direct support to me, the content creator. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your support. Na cancer, doof doof. In today's video, like I said in the last video when I spoke about the fact that we unlocked the Australian dollar account. Yes! And you guys commented with those green hearts, and that was fun. So we unlocked the Australian dollar account, and I mentioned that in the next video we're going to be talking about what exactly I invested in that Australian dollar account. And we also need to consider a few things when it comes to investing in the Australian dollar account, because now we're talking a whole different country. We're talking a whole different time zone, a different currency, a different stock exchange, right? Different companies. So don't let that overwhelm you. Don't let it overwhelm you. We already had some great practice with the JSE via the EasyEquities ZAR account, the JSE, Johannesburg Stock Exchange, right? Most countries, I think every country in the world, maybe not every country, but countries have a stock exchange, right? Which is where we can buy company shares, etc., etc. So, in South Africa, we know that we have the JSE, which is the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. In the US, I think they have 2 exchanges. I think it's the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. And in Australia, they have the Australian Securities Exchange, the ASX. AUDs for their currency, Australian dollar, right? USD, US dollar. ZAR, Rand, right? So on EasyEquities, that's how it's categorized according to the currency, okay? But now the stock exchange in concern here is the Australian Securities Exchange. Same thing, stock, securities, whatever. Okay. First things first, when you are investing in your Australian dollar account, the first thing that you should be cognizant of is that when you transfer money, of which I showed you guys in the previous video that I transferred money from my EasyEquities ZAR account to my Australian dollar account, right? And when it got there, when it landed as, some of you might remember the amount already if you've just watched that video, but I said that it landed as 135 Australian dollars. So it was 1,500 rands. When it got to the Australian dollar account, it converted as 135 and I don't know how many cents in Australian dollars, right? So it looks little, but it's actually, now I just have to psychologically program my mind, Guti, this amount actually amounts to this. But what's nice is that on the EasyEquities app, it also shows you more or less what that amount is equivalent to in rands, which is great. I don't have to do too much mathematics in my mind about it. But some of you might be wondering, hey, I have not seen the Australian dollar account in my EasyEquities account, like portfolio. I haven't seen that green AUD account. Where is it? So if you're not seeing it on your portfolio, scroll on your app. There's a plus sign right underneath there. On that plus, click it. It will show you all the accounts that you have not activated already, right? And then you'll click the Australian dollar account one, agree to the terms and conditions, and activate, and it will be on your portfolio, and that's it. Simple as that. Okay. So now when your money is there now, it's like dun 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 dun. What do I invest in? I know, already on the JSE, in the EasyEquities AUD account, we're already kind of like, oh, there's so many companies. This company, that company, bada bam, bada bam, bada bam, bada bam. I want to make money. How do I choose which shares on the Australian stock market? At least with the JSE, these are companies, the JSE and the US dollar account, is that these are companies that these brands are familiar to us. Even if we don't use their product per se, we're like, I know this brand, I know Apple, I know what, I know what, you know, and so forth. But with the Australian companies, a lot of them were like, what is this? I don't know this company, right? Some of them, like Woolworths, we know that, oh, that is Woolworths, but I have it already in my EasyEquities AUD account. So Australian dollar account, do I need? No. Renogen as well is another one that is in the Australian dollar account, but also in the EasyEquities AUD account as well. So I decided that, you know what, let me do a bit of research and see how do I actually want to invest in my AUD account. Do I want to now go crazy like I did the first time when I started investing and buy a whole bunch of company shares? Or am I just gonna, think about it? So I was like, there's this ETF that can give me exposure to 300 Australian companies in one ETF. And this is not only the big companies, but also small cap companies as well. Small capitalization, right? When I say small cap. So not only the big companies, but also the small, not so small, but small and medium sized companies, And I'm like, actually, I like this ETF because of the amount of exposure it gives me. I'm not going to be able to invest in all 300 of those companies. I frankly do not want to. But I could go with this index fund that gives me exposure to all these companies, and I can have this ETF for the next, I don't know how many years, and in all these years I will keep having the exposure to 300 plus companies that are already listed in the Australian Securities Exchange. I know ETFs are not as exciting as individual shares in terms of their movement. Personally, I feel that way. But they are less risky, and in terms of cost, they are more cost effective. Now, if I'm going to put 1,500 into my Australian dollar account monthly, this is an example. I haven't dedicated an amount yet. And I'm going to be buying all these companies, shares, adding to my shares in all these companies. The fees involved, and I can't use my easy money in my Australian dollar account. So the fees involved in all those transactions, number one. Already I don't have a lot of money to be investing in the Australian dollar account monthly. So the fees involved of all those transactions that I'll be placing. But if I have this ETF that is already giving me exposure to 300 companies listed on the Australian Securities Exchange, and I make one transaction every month, and maybe I can have about 2 or 3 companies here and there, and I also add to them occasionally, I think I'll be good. I don't feel like, for now, things might change. I don't feel like going wild in my account right now, but I like this ETF, and other than just liking, okay, well, the liking of it came from me sitting and reading on their website about this ETF, and also scroll through a couple of companies as well that are listed on this ETF, that now that I know which companies they are, I can take time on a daily basis or weekly basis to research one or two companies and find out, like, what does that company do, what share price are they at right now, do they look like a company that's going to be around in the next coming years. Because I see myself in my Australian dollar account, I see myself as a long-term investor there. The reason I see myself as a long-term investor there is because in South Africa, the reality is our currency tends to fluctuate, guys. Next thing, the rand to the dollar is XYZ. Next thing, but one thing that we do know is that over the years, I remember a time when I was a kid and the rand to the dollar, the US dollar that is, it was like 7 rand, 7. Now here I am, double that age, and the amount is double the amount, and even above that. So 10 years from now, what will the rand dollar exchange be? So to protect my money from currency fluctuations, I would rather invest long term in ETFs that give me exposure to that market, that stock exchange, that country. Okay, so hence I felt like an ETF and building this ETF up over time, instead of now I'm investing $1 here, $1 here, $1 there, $1 there, $1 there. Focus, concentrate, bring it together, right? Another thing I loved about this ETF is that if I build up this ETF in the Australian dollar account, my money is not only growing in the share price of this ETF going up and performing well, but also when the Australian dollar versus the South African rand, the Australian dollar continues to become stronger over the South African rand in the future, when I'm transferring my money back, I would benefit in that way as well. And talking about transferring my money back, yes, when you withdraw or you sell from the Australian dollar account, that money will then reflect in your balance and you can transfer it back into your EasyEquities ZAR account. And I think EasyEquities did not have that feature before, and it's something that is new, and thank goodness it's like that simple for us to be able to just do that, right? So with that said, imagine your money traveling so quickly, like from this account to that account, grows over the years. You want it back, you sell, goes to that account, then into your bank account, easy, like that, just like that. Okay, I like that. Another thing I like about this ETF is that they pay out dividends quarterly. Nice. And I also looked at their dividend payout history and I was like, okay, not too shabby. These are nice no, not nice, but that's okay. I can see how over the years, with these dividends reinvested into the ETF, that would definitely grow my investment. And that's essentially it for me on the Australian dollar account. I'm not trying to go and listen to somebody who's saying, hey, there's this company, there's that company, there's that company, there's that. And the next thing, I have like 10, 15 companies in my portfolio. And with the money that I have, I can only add a bit here, a bit here. Why don't I just go for a balanced fund already, that is already being managed by a portfolio manager? I don't have to try and manage all these different companies in my portfolio. It's all in this fund, and there's somebody who manages this fund. And when I look at the overall performance of this fund, I'm like, it hasn't been performing too badly. It's actually been performing well, right? So I think for now, it's currently my favorite ETF on the Australian dollar account. If there's any other ETF that I buy, I'll also make sure to do my research so as to not invest in an ETF that looks the same as this one, that has the same companies as these ones. Maybe there might be one or two, but how much of that company's shares is in that ETF? If they have a similar amount, then it's like you're somewhat invested in the same thing. We can touch on that again in ETFs when we speak more about them in another video. Okay, considerations to make when you are investing in the Australian dollar account is that Australia is 8 hours ahead of South Africa. So whatever the time is now in South Africa, just count 8 hours and it will give you the time in Australia. So what does that mean for the stock market? Because just like the JSE, it does close. It has an opening time and a closing time. So between the hours of 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. South African time, that's when the Australian stock market is open. Some of you might already be sleeping at that time. Some of you might be early birds and you'll remember that, oh, the stock market in Australia is open. So does this mean that when you want to buy shares on your Australian dollar account, you need to now wake up between 2 a.m. and 8 a.m.? Don't disturb your sleep like that. Yo. No, that it doesn't mean that. It just means that most of the time when you are placing your order, same as me, you're going to be placing it when the stock market is old. When the stock market is closed. You're going to be placing it when the stock market is closed, and it's going to show you that yellow tab that says that place, buy, order, something like that. So that's essentially saying that the stock market is closed and your order will be placed when the stock market is open. But now you might also be wondering, what about price? Because remember, on the stock market, the share price is going like this. It's dancing the whole day. So does that mean that you're now just gonna always get it at whatever it's at the end of the day then? This is what was nice. When I placed my buy order, I was able to change the price. And I was like, nice. I don't have to go with this price, and I don't have to go with the less than equal to value. I could actually set the price that I only want my order to be processed when the price is at this. I put my own numbers there, and I looked at the graph first, because you don't want your order to be pending for too long, right? And you also don't want to be unrealistic. So for example, if the share price of a particular company or share that you want to buy is $95, right? But you can see that the whole week it's been playing at 92, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1. It's been playing at that. Then you can, you're like, no, let me set this at 92, or let me set this at 93. Remember, the price is moving up and down the whole day in the stock market. Maybe at some point, somewhere during the week, maybe it might hit your price again, in the hopes that it wasn't just tending upwards. Because sometimes on the stock market, it might be that particular company is having a great day or a great week or a great month, and it's just tending upwards and it's not coming down. But luckily, my graphical analysis worked for me when I was buying Vanguard Australian Share Index ETF. I set the price after looking at the graph and looking at the trend this past month and this past week. And I was like, let me just see. If I set it at this amount, I think it was 90. I think so. And the next day, my order was processed and I got the email, the confirmation that my order was processed, and I was happy. I was like, oh, nice. But had I gone with that price that I had seen, maybe I would have missed out or lost out, which is such a nice feature actually. The fact that you can set the price, like write a figure. That is nice. So don't forget that when you are purchasing shares or ETFs or whatever on the AUD account, remember to set your price. But don't now, when the price is like $100 and you're like setting it to be to only process your order when it's 50. How many years are you gonna wait for your order to be processed? So be realistic, look at the graph, see where does it play at, and then you're like, let me see, maybe if it's 100, maybe 98, 99, let me see, yeah, that's a nice feature, very nice feature. So if you want to find out more information about the ETF that I invested in, remember to click the link in the description box. I've linked their website. Really, really great, well laid out website, very simplified, and it gives you so much information about the ETF. And if you have any questions or requests, feel free to leave them in the comments section. Let me know, have you already invested in the Australian dollar account yourself? If you have, what did you invest in? If you'd like to let us know, how is it looking? Is it looking nice and green? Or is it looking a little red? Remember to do the 5 of 5. Thank you everyone for watching till the end. I really appreciate it. Doof. Catch me on Financial Chats _Tessa, where we engage daily about money and the conversations that we should be having about money. Goodbye, Cancer.